So I actually grew up not too far from here, a little bit down south in Telluride, Colorado. I lived there for about 10 years, and I actually grew up there and started as a skier. I competed in downhill moguls, and originally that was the sport that I thought, this is going to be the sport I'm going to go professional with. And, I started skiing at probably 3 years old, and that was everything. We even had, down there you don't even have school on Wednesday, so you can go and ski.
Oh, wow.
So it was just, if you live in Colorado, this is what you do. And what ends up happening is that breeds the absolute best. We've had gold medalists just left and right come from Telluride's programs to be in skiing, and unfortunately that meant that at like 12 years old I kind of washed out as being able to be competitive enough. At 12 years old I couldn't do a backflip, and that means
Why not?
Just didn't have what it took.
I want to see you do a backflip on your tri-bike.
Yeah, I would like to see that one too. Yeah, so unfortunately, that meant keep doing it, but you're not going to be able to make the qualifying teams to keep going further if you can't do these certain things. So around that same time, I actually kind of started transitioning out and started kind of just doing a bit of running here and there. And around that time, I also went to boarding school, where I found myself I wasn't able to ski. I never really done any other sports, so I just kept running to kind of enjoy myself. And we just did it casually, would jump into a 5K every now and then, and I was always doing okay at it. Just self-prescribed programs, being able to just get up in the morning and do it. And then from then we eventually moved when I was in 10th grade to New York City. And that was my first time actually being introduced to a track club. At my school, I ran track and ran cross country, and I really started to feel like, this is something I'm pretty good at. A couple months later of doing that, my coach said, we have a big cycling community in New York City. I joined New York City Cycling Club, learned to ride a bike. Riding a road bike scared the living daylights out of me. I could not believe that, you could ride fast on tires so thin. I had no idea how you'd even balance on it. So I ended up, just doing that, and through it, I just kind of stumbled across, I think, probably a Kona video from one of the coverages. I think one of the first races I watched was the Chris McCormack, Andreas Raylert, just shoulder to shoulder throughout the whole marathon, and I was just like, this is a pretty cool sport. I think I can probably win that race.
There you go. That's wing attitude.
I had no idea what the sport even was. Probably didn't know the distances, but I thought, I can probably do pretty well in this. I'm going to give it a try. Signed up for a local one, summer 2013, and that was my first time doing a triathlon. It was a pool swim, some 10-mile bike around this little park and a 5K run. And after that, it was just completely hooked. Everything, it was, forget trying to run in college, forget trying to just cycle. Let's focus on triathlon. This is an awesome sport, and I wanted to do it. So from that point on, I knew, all right, I want to be a professional in this sport now. Skiing didn't work. How can I make this work? Unfortunately, I didn't know how hard it would be, because it was hard. And it still, is, because this sport has become so competitive at the front end, especially in 70.3 racing and Ironman racing. It is just, such, it's 0.1% between the winner and, 10th place.
Yeah, and they're running 106 off the bike.
Yeah, they're running 106 off the bike now. It just shows that every year.
Olympic trials qualifiers.
Yeah, exactly. To know that, if you can run sub 106, you can go to the U.S. men's half marathon Olympic trials, and that, will still, you have to run that level to win a race nowadays, which is just incredible. And then with the way the sport's coming on the R&D side, to show that not only do you have to be able to run a 106, you have to be the equivalent of like a Formula One team, where you have to understand how you go fast. You have to understand that I don't just get on my bike anymore and push hard on the pedals. I need to be as aerodynamic as possible. I need to understand how to become aerodynamic, fit, helmet, skin suit, all these things have such a massive impact. And that's, a really hard thing to swallow when you think, oh, I thought I just had to work out really hard. No, I need to, understand all these different things I never even knew about. So it was really incredible, and that's kind of what's kept me so much in love with the sport. Currently, I actually just said, all right, you know what? I'm working my bike fit, and these aero bars aren't fast enough for me. So I went to the Home Depot with my friend, and we made a pair. Because we figured, what? They're not working for me. We can do it better. So we decided, we're going to take every step we can, because that's what the sport requires. You see guys, Sanders and Patrick, all of them go into the wind tunnel, because that's how close you need to be, just to be competitive on the bike nowadays. And it's incredible.
What would you love, if you could choose one thing or two things to test out in the wind tunnel, what would it be?
I really want to test out these aero bars I made.
Because you made them, yeah.
Because I made them, yeah.
Right.
I've always had kind of a fascination with just the helmets in general. I mean, one, because they look cool. And second, just because you're kind of guessing. You're kind of spitballing. You're thinking, oh, does this one work with my fit? Does this one work with my fit? This person rides this one. This person rides this one. And that's like a really cool one where I'm like, if I could actually get a correct answer with data saying this is the fastest one, I think that would be, just for me, a very cool thing to have done.
Yeah. And so you've been studying, you're in law school, right?
So I did sociology as my undergrad
Okay.
at CU. And it's kind of an awesome degree when you do triathlon because sociology is just kind of culture. In triathlon, I travel and I see tons of cultures. So I finished my degree in that. And law school was something it was just kind of a fluid, like, oh, do I want this? Do I not want this? Where do I lay? Let's test it out. But the reality was just that triathlon is the sport I love. I love everything about this sport.
It loves you.
I like to think so. I think the base program loves me too. At least I hope so.
It does.
Yeah, the reality is just at this point in my life, I want to have a career in triathlon. So it's, I'm 24 years old. Let's do it. Right now is the only time I'm going to be able to say, I'm going to go and put it on the line. I'm going to be a pro triathlete.
So you're 24. So you got, quite a few years ahead of you. You're 18 years younger than me. Makes me feel old.
94.
Wow, 94. That's the year I graduated high school. So what else about yourself? Like, how do you juggle law school with training as a professional athlete?
You don't.
Okay.
you don't. It's hard enough. Undergrad, it's phenomenal. Like at CU, they have a CU triathlon team, and it's a fun experience because you see, people that have never done don't even know what triathlon is that join the club, and you have amazing pros, that will do it and come through that program even better. And you see that, you just make it work when you can. Is the simpleness. And those programs are always a little hit and miss because a serious guy isn't exactly going to feel at home when he's training with someone who's never done a triathlon before and is just trying to get to the finish line. So it's a hard dynamic, but I think that it's actually a valuable skill just to learn to be able to pivot. Being, all right, I'm just sat through 3 hours of class. How am I going to go sprint home in my dorm room, get my bike together, get on the road, ride before sundown, and then get home and have to do a bunch of homework?
Yep.
So it teaches you a pretty valuable just mentality of always just doing what you need to do despite how you feel.
Right.
On time management, just all those very important things. Whereas now, all I do is train.
Right.
So
how many hours a week are you training?
Right now, it's around 22.
Woo, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited though. I'm just right now, it's just trying to get into shape because I'm heading to Florida actually on Thursday, where I'll be there for the QT2 Pro Camp and then the base camp following that.
So how long have you been with them?
Very recent. I just started with spinning in January.
Oh, okay.
And so it's an interesting thing, introducing using heart rate zones again. That was, I hadn't trained with heart rate in 2 years, so that's kind of interesting. John really keeps me honest. I upload a workout, and instantly he's yelling at me, "Chris, you went too hard again. You got to back off." Right. Which every single time gets.
No coach ever tells me that.
Yeah. As going into this program now, where triathlon is my only thing. This is what I wake up and do. There's nothing else. I needed a bigger program kind of around me, and QT2 offered this brilliant combo of coaching, but also a series of camps throughout the year.
Yep.
Along with a big community there. So it really kind of worked out really well, where I'm able to stay in Boulder, do my own thing that I like doing. Go to the same masters, train with the same guys within this program, but also be able to go to Florida for 20 days to train in February. Something that you just can't really do when it's just yourself.
Yep.
With a program. There's guys that will just grab their friends and go to Arizona, but it's a lot harder to do. Then you have to sync up your training schedule. So this was a really great program for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think I've done the QT2 Pro Camp for a couple of years, and I loved it. I thought it was a great experience. And we had, it's definitely not a fun thing. In the base camp, Florida, it's a social camp for athletes who want to do a little bit of training. The QT2 Pro Camp is it's a pro camp with very little social. You work your ass off, so that's great. So what races do you have on your schedule for this year that some of our team members could see you at?
So this year, I really want to focus on going to my first World Championships. I tried to qualify last year, and unfortunately, I just couldn't make it in the points system that they had. So this year, it's simple spot allocation. There's a spot, it rolls down to whoever takes it first.
Okay.
So I have 3 races I'm going to try and really knock it out and get the spot in. I'm going to kick my season off at Ironman 70.3 Lima.
Lima, Peru, okay.
Lima, Peru. I raced it last year. Phenomenal city. Fun time. The locals are very enthusiastic. Great course. Actually pretty easy travel. And then after that, I'm going to be going to 70.3 Monterrey, Mexico.
All right. Just don't get beheaded, please.
Yeah. Also a great area. I went to that one last year also. Very enjoyable. The swim is
Crystal clear.
crystal clear.
It's like an aquarium.
Yeah, it's the strangest thing. If you've never done that race, it's hard to describe because they have the 2-kilometer long canal that they put chlorine in. It's literally a pool. So you're swimming down this 4-foot canal.
It's like a lazy river in Vegas type thing.
Exactly.
It's just crystal clear.
It's the weirdest.
It's awesome.
It's the weirdest thing, but you swim down it, which it's just weird because some people can swim really well in it. Some people just don't know what to do. Like it's too controlled. Some people need a little bit of chaos in the swim. Mm-hmm. Some people need some waves bopping around, some buoys and some turns. So that's a lot of fun. And then the last chance I'm going to have is going to be at Ironman Coeur d'Alene, which is June 30th. So that'll be my last chance. It's right before the cutoff. So I'm hoping that at one of those 3 races I'll get it.
Nice.
It's a little bit question mark on what my season will look like after that. Most likely 70.3 Boulder. And then I will go to Europe. Even if I don't make Worlds, I'll go again. I like to go and do the European races.
Did you go to Ireland 70.3 last year?
Yeah, so I did.
How was that?
Dunlowry it was marketed as the hardest bike course in Europe. And it was the hardest bike course in Europe. It was everything they said it would be. It was these little 6-foot narrow roads on these crazy, climbs that would just climb up into the mountains, and it had something like 6,000 feet of climbing.
For a half?
For a half. It
was
okay. So hard. And then the descents were just as hard. I think we had like 3 male pros crash out of the race because of the descents.
Bunch of babies. They needed some training wheels.
Yeah, that's what I told them too, and they didn't take it too well.
Man.
Yeah.
Bring them on here. We'll have that discussion, and I'll give them a parting gift when they leave of some training wheels.
The hardest thing actually was when you're riding on these roads in Ireland, they have all these farms around there, and there'd be sheep on the side of the road, and you'd be biking up, and the sheep would see you, get scared, and start running down the road. So all of a sudden you're biking with these sheep just kind of wobbling in front of you, and you just don't know what to do. Do I go hard and pass this little thing that's just all over the place, or do I just kind of hope that eventually veers off? So that was a very interesting experience.
So what other races have you done like that one that have brought some pretty amazing life experiences outside of racing itself, like the sport? What have you gotten to experience?
It's been brilliant. So
Lima's an awesome city. I've been there.
So I think an unknown one I went to was Ironman 70 in the Bariloche last year. It's, for people who don't know, Bariloche is a very, very small town in Patagonia in Argentina. Impossible to get to. It was like 36 hours of travel both ways. It involved TJ Tollickson and I on the way home. In Buenos Aires, we had like a 6-hour layover, and there's 2 airports there. We had 6 hours to just simply go from one airport to the 45-minute drive to the other one. We got to the next gate with like 5 minutes to spare because it was just a nightmare. But Bariloche was just this mind-blowing town. It's literally just confined in the mountains, and these mountains are just this jagged, rocky, beautiful snow-capped ones that go right into this massive lake. And I couldn't say enough good things about that town. It was amazing. And Argentina, everyone there does the greatest thing in the world. They love to hug. You don't get to do, there's no conversation before they hug you. It doesn't matter, they don't know you, but they want to say something to you, they come up and give you a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And
I would get so weirded out in my personal space.
It is too, because as Americans, we're like, we don't even hug. We don't.
Yeah.
And we're expecting, if you do, it's a quick little, side hug. They'll grab onto you and they'll start the conversation and then they'll let you go.
Huh.
So getting off the airport and having them like pick you up, and they're like grabbing. I'm like, oh, what is this? This is. But then by the end of it, I was like, everyone. I was like, yes, hugs. This is the greatest thing ever. Came back to America and then was sad because
no more hugs.
No more hugs here.
Wow.
So that was a very interesting one.
That's interesting.
But as far as like triathlon culture goes, Germany takes the hat. I had the privilege of racing 2 races there a couple years ago. It was a 70.3 Heidelberg Triathlon was the one. It's just this amazing small town in Germany, huge castle like they all have there. Also a crazy hard bike course, but the Germans are just mad for triathlon. And they'll just throw anything at you. Like cobblestones on the bike course, terrifying. They just absolutely love them. I did triathlon in Frankfurt, which was an awesome one because they decided that going fast is pretty fun too. So they had this 30-mile bike, and it was point to point, where you did the swim, you got on your bike, and you just go straight down an autobahn. All the way to Frankfurt.
Oh, wow.
And it was just a slight downhill, so you're just whipping like 30 miles an hour for, literally just down this autobahn all the way to Frankfurt. It was just so cool, just because you get to go really fast on this massive, perfect road.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
You have, what I like about you is you like what they call non-endemic sponsors.
Yes.
Meaning, he works with base, but you go outside of the sport.
Yes.
And you started telling me about working with Alpine Bank.
Yes, Alpine Bank.
And I'm like, Alpine Bank, I've never heard of it. Man, I got to tell you what, now I understand the power of marketing, because I hear Alpine Bank all the time now, and I got to be honest with you, like, we're looking for one additional bank to work with. Yeah. For base, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go. That's Chris's guy, and I think you said that the CEO of it or the president of it, you was friends with your family when you were starting out and stuff.
It's a crazy story with that one.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I hear it now on the radio, and I don't want to go to like a Chase or a Wells Fargo or B of A, but I want another smaller local bank. So I'm like, I'll go to Alpine and I'll support. I like that. If someone like an Alpine Bank is going to give a triathlete, in the sport that I love, give a little support, I'll go bank with them. Yeah. Everybody understands and respects triathletes and Ironmans and stuff like that, but it is very hard to completely make a living inside the triathlon bubble. So I respect that.
It's very hard, especially as a newer pro. It was a big challenge as a pro, actually thinking, how do I make my income? There's prize money for what there is, but then there's sponsors. And one thing I love about triathlon is the sponsors. It's my favorite part. Like sponsorship season, September to December, I love sending out emails. I love talking to sponsors, negotiating. It's a blast for me. It's so much fun, and it really gets me out of the just training funk. Mm-hmm. And it kills me when I hear people go, oh, triathlon market is so bad for pros right now. No, the market for triathlon pros is endless. Yep. Triathlon has the highest age group income of any sport. So, amateurs in golf make less money than the average triathlete. There's an article saying that actually, if you took it to just people who do full Ironmans, the average income is $250,000 of amateurs.
That's not
enough. So it kills me to think, why are triathletes scraping by thinking, oh, I'm going to beg this bike company for a frame? Go to Rolex and say, look, you sponsor a Formula One team that panders to guys sitting on their couch in front of their television that making, $40,000 a year. I'm literally shoulder to shoulder with the people that actually buy your products. Like, if it's just a message to pros, triathlon is the sport you do. It's not the sport that you should be marketing. You should be marketing everything else. Market banks, watches, cars, because that's where the money is. Yep. You're complaining about the money in the sport, but that's not the money you should be going after. And it's just so much, you get to do a lot more fun things when you're part of, brands that aren't in the sport. They allow you to do just different things and meet different people and experience new things, which is just a great, thing all around, because, no one wants to do the same photo for every company they have. Yep. If I'm posting a photo on the bike, which for some reason those are the most liked photos I post, or just photos on the bike, but there's a limit to how many you can do. So if all my sponsors revolve around that, all of a sudden my Instagram feed is 30 photos of me in the TT bars somewhere, and it's just dull and it's boring. Right. It's the same cookie cutter that every other pro has. So I kind of thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a brand. I am, my own brand. I'm going to be different. So there's only one way for me to do that, and that's think outside the box. How can I go and find ways to get out of it? And Alpine Bank really, embraced me. They said, it's awesome. You're local, you race local, you're a part of the local community. How can we help you? Mm-hmm. So with them, I'm actually going to be doing quite a few charity events. I'm going to be working with some local swim clubs, helping kids learn to swim. I'm hopefully going to be able to do some physically challenged athletes. Race a couple years ago, I was able to pull an athlete during the Carter Lake Crossing, and
Okay.
it was an amazing experience. And those are the things that working with a brand like Alpine Bank opened up for me.
Hmm.
So it's a very exciting experience all around.
No, that's fantastic.